So this is Pete Hegseth. Pete Hegseth. And it says here that Democrats think that this tattoo is a swastika. He is looking to be Donald Trump's Secretary of Defense, which is the Secretary of War. Whole bunch of fucking Zionists. Whole bunch of deep state Zionists. He's a Fox News contributor, so he's ex-military, and he got in trouble in the military. I don't know if he was kicked out of the military, not for this Jerusalem cross. That's what it's called. And is it just Christianity? No, it's more a Crusader thing, and it's a Latin thing, and there's a whole bunch of weird goddamn idolatry, fucking just weird-ass symbols. There's a bunch of weird-ass symbols in religion and in the fucking Freemasons and the Latins. Just look at your money. Yeah, everybody wants to act like they know exactly what it is. Fucking Clandis Oinkins. She says, you don't know what that is? Well, I say Deus Vult to everybody says, hi, how are you doing, Clandis? I say Deus Vult to you and Deus Vult to all of you. Yeah, Deus Vult is Inshallah. Inshallah in Arabic. So, I'm going to get into the details of what the Jerusalem cross is. But just to recap, Pete Hegseth got in trouble. I don't know if he got kicked out of the military, exactly what had happened. But he got into some trouble because there's a lot of fucking white supremacist piles of shit that uses Deus Vult. A lot of white supremacist piles of shit. The Crusades, the fucking Crusades. You know how many people died in the Crusades? Well, when the first Iraq war had begun, George W. Bush, he said, this is a crusade. And then he said, he walked that back. Well, okay, we're not actually declaring a war against Islam. Ronald Reagan had stood up for the two-state solution. George W. Bush stood up to the two-state solution. Reagan stood up to Israel, and so did Papa Bush. It's incredible that these guys had stood up to Israel. Nowadays, everybody just fucking loves the fuck out of them. They're like, America last, Israel first. Pelosi says, even if all of America just collapsed, all of American civilization, we'd still give them $50 billion to do their genocide. That's how important Israel is to Americans. Even in spite of ourselves, even if we go down, who gives a shit? So when I'm worried about the Zionists surrounding Donald, he's actually throwing Make America Great Again, the America First. He's throwing America First under the bus. He's going for America last and the goddamn Zionists first. So the Jerusalem cross. What is the Jerusalem cross? It originated as the symbol of the kingdom of Jerusalem. It was established in 1099 by the king of Godfrey of Bouillon. Bouillon, B-O-U-I-L-L-O-N. Bouillon, who carried it as his personal coat of arms. So it's a personal coat of arms from this guy named King Godfrey of Denmark. So are you for Denmark or are you for America? Since then, it's been widely celebrated symbol of Catholics' presence in the Holy Land. It's depicted on altars, vestments, church edifices, and more. So Jerusalem cross, this is when the Catholic Church for 1,000 years was just killing anybody and everybody in the name of Jesus, which is, you know, what would Jesus do? Turn the other cheek, love thy neighbor? No, he would kill millions and millions of people in order to take Jerusalem back. The Latin Patriarch of Jerusalem, the highest Catholic authority in the Holy Land, uses the Jerusalem cross prominently as an emblem of his office. So we're bringing Latin back? What the fuck is this Latin? Deus Vult is God willing. In Arabic, God willing is Inshallah. 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 God willing, Allah will be victorious. Deus Vult, God, Yeshua, the Jehovah, the King of Jehovah. Didn't you know that? Jesus Christ, Jerusalem cross, Deus Vult, Clandis Oinkin. So God of Bouillon, Kingdom of Jerusalem, he's going to die in the Kingdom of Jerusalem, July 18th, 1100, or so they say. He actually started as the Duke of Lower Lorraine, not even the Higher Lorraine, the Lower Lorraine. He was a leader of the First Crusade. He became the first Latin ruler in Palestine after the capture of Jerusalem from the Muslims in July 1099. Godfrey, with his brothers Eustace and Baldwin, joined the First Crusade in 1096. When Raymond of Toulouse declined to become king of Jerusalem, Godfrey accepted the crown but refused the title of king. and was called instead Avocatus Sancti Sepulchri, defender of the Holy Sepulchre. Godfrey arranged truces with the Muslim maritime cities of Ascalon, Caesarea, and Acre, and successfully beat off an Egyptian attack. Duh! Don't you know this? Clandis Oinkins, don't you know that Godfrey, he acknowledged himself as a vassal of Daimbert, the patriarch of Jerusalem, which laid the foundation for the future struggles between the ecclesiastical figures and the lay figures who sought to control the kingdom. Duh! On his death, he was succeeded by his brother Baldwin I. Godfrey de Bouillon, can you even say his last name, Clandis fucking Oinkins? The first to use the Jerusalem cross as a distinct symbol of the new Crusader state, known as the Latin Kingdom of Jerusalem. Historians note that the four crosses surrounding the large center cross represent the four Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. The four crosses are also believed to represent the four corners of the earth, which Jesus had desired his word to be proclaimed by his disciples. The four corners of the earth. The earth is round, Jesus. The large cross in the center symbolizes the Christ himself. The Christ himself. Other historians believe that the five crosses together symbolize the five wounds that Jesus had suffered on the cross. Okay, yeah, I'm sure all this fucking makes it just a cool ass fucking goddamn symbol. It's a cool ass fucking symbol. Four small crosses represents the four wounds of Jesus' hands and feet, while the large cross signifies Jesus' pierced heart. They pierced his heart. I thought he died on the cross. If they pierced his heart, then that would have killed him. What? So it doesn't... Logic, huh? Logic and reason, rationality. We're all a bunch of animals. None of us have logic and reasoning and rationality. What the fuck? Why should we do the Enlightenment, huh? Why do the Enlightenment when we could just go back to the good old Dark Ages? Make America the Dark Ages again. Despite Godfrey's weakness as a ruler, he was a weak ruler. The tall, handsome, and fair-haired descendant of Charlemagne, who was an enemy to Charlemagne, was later idolized in legend and songs as the perfect Christian knight, the peerless hero of the whole crusading epic. He's the fucking main character, the leader, so all the fucking songs and shit go after him, but he's gonna take Jerusalem and then die the year afterwards. That's just like the Viking, what's his fucking name, who took over the England, right? The Vikings conquered England, and then he died right afterwards. So, he had that weird fucking name. Jehoshaphat? I don't know. Despite Godfrey's weakness as a ruler, the tall, handsome, already said that, Pope Urban II. Okay, so why are we in a crusade? Well, in 1095, the Pope Urban II called for military action. So if Pope Francis calls us into a crusade, we'll all be for the crusade. Is that what this means? So that's what he's all about, popery. He's all going to kiss the Pope's ass. 1095, Pope Urban II called for military action in order to liberate Jerusalem and aid the Byzantine Empire, which in the years since 1071 had lost large swaths of territory to the Seljuk Empire. Duh. Come on, Clandis Oinkins, don't you know this? Godfrey either sold or mortgaged most of his estates to the bishops of Liege and Verdun and used the money to recruit an army of crusaders. The bishops were warlords. The fucking Pope was usually doing a bunch of crimes and sins and shit. He would get in there by some fucking corrupt means. He wasn't like elected. He wasn't elected for his holiness or his intelligence. He would just fucking twist arms, fucking break some kneecaps. And then they did a whole bunch of fucking, they were a bunch of fucking perverts, and then they were going around murdering everybody and taking the lands. Just in general, if you think about like kings needing the endorsement of the man of God. So not only are you the king of England, but you're the king of England endorsed by the man from God. So therefore, it's like you are God. But if you can't get the Pope's endorsement, the man of God, well then you're just a fucking king without a God. You're a godless fucking heathen king. That's what you are. He was actually a Viking, right? King of Denmark. So I like the Vikings, but I can't really like any of this shit. Oh, the bishops of Liege and Verdun. He was joined by his older brother Eustace. I hate his brother just for that. I'm not going to call you Eustace. I'm going to call you Godfrey's older brother and his younger brother Baldwin. So fucking James Baldwin and Charles Baldwin and Alec. Oh shit, so they're going to kill a fucking filmographer or a fucking cinematographer in the face, huh? Oh yeah, you're the victim, so why don't you sue the prosecutors there, Alec Baldwin? You're the fucking victim. Get the fuck out of here. They had no lands in Europe, the two brothers, Eustace and Baldwin, so they were looking to steal the land out of Jerusalem. Well, shit. If the more things changed, the more they stayed the same. Others did the same, the largest being that raised by Raymond IV, Count of Toulouse, who at 55 was the oldest and most experienced of the Crusader nobles. George W. Bush called the Iraq War a crusade, then he walked that back. He wasn't fighting Islam. I'm not fighting fucking 1 billion people. I'm just fighting Saddam Hussein. Saddam. First crusade. The first crusade, it was said, between 3,000 to 70,000 Muslims and Jews were killed. That's Christianity. You're killing both Muslims and Jews. And Christianity, just like Jesus said, right? You do unto others the opposite of what you want done unto you. Hate your enemy. Hate your enemy by murdering them to death. Thou shalt murder, and thou shalt steal. Have no faith. Have no mercy. Care nothing for justice. Care more about mint and tithe and dill. Don't forget the dill. And don't forget the mint. And don't forget the cumin. Did you bring the cumin? You son of a bitch. And never, ever, ever turn the other cheek. That's what Jesus says, I'm pretty sure. Who cares? Should I read the Good Samaritan to you? Who gives a shit? Who cares if any of this shit makes sense, huh? Total 3 million people were killed in the Crusades. How many Crusades were there total? Oh, just a total of 9 Crusades. Oh, is that it? Just 9 Crusades? Is that it? So there was the first Crusade. Let's see. How many Crusades? There was 9 Crusades, and they were all pretty much between 1100 and 1200. Yeah. So 1096 to 99, 1147 to 49, 89 to 92, 02 to 04, 1217 to 1221, 1248, and then it's going to end. So the first date is 1096, and the last one is 1272. So in the span of about 200 years, essentially the 1100s and the 1200s. And what happened? Well, you had the Albigensian crusade against the Cathars in southern France. I know Clandis knows that. Crusades against the Hussites of Bohemia. Crusader against Roger II of Sicily and Frederick II. The Crusades were costly, violent, and ruthless. That enhanced the status of European Christians. Did they really? Here it says 8. Well, what about the 9th one? History.com. They varied in size and degree of success, costly and violent and ruthless conflicts. And then there were holy wars, right? So you'll go to heaven if you die in a crusade. That's what Jesus says. Jesus says, always pick up the sword and murder, murder, murder. Kill, kill, kill. Blood. That's not love. Blood. That's a direct Jesus quote. Godfrey was a king of Denmark who halted the northward extension of Charlemagne's empire. He may have ruled over all of Denmark, but his center of power was in the extreme south of Jutland. There, Hedeby became an important station on the new Frankish trade route to the Muslim states of the east via the Baltic Sea and the Russian rivers. Duh, Clandis Winkins. Don't you know any of this? The Arab chronicler Ibn al-Qalanisi reported that in the year 1099, Godfrey, the Lord of Jerusalem, appeared before the fortified port of Acre, and made an assault upon it, but was struck by an arrow which killed him. Well, that's interesting. So I'm being told he was killed in 1100, but really he died in 1099? Well, this is repeated with other Muslim sources. That's not what the Christian chronicles say. Albert of AIX. How do you pronounce AIX? AIX. AIX. So Albert of AIX and Eckhard of Ora suggests that Godfrey fell ill while visiting Caesarea in June 1100 and died in Jerusalem on July 18th. Suggestions he was poisoned are not likely. It's more probable he died from a disease similar to typhoid. And Godfrey never married. Oh, okay, so what a great fucking bachelor for life, huh? Bachelor for life. So, I don't know. Seems like if you're such a great fucking hero and shit, you probably should, even Henry VIII was eventually able to get him a son. Did he not? Eventually, after chopping off 2 of his wife's heads. I mean, my God, she's just the Queen of England. Just chop her head off and remarry. That's what my God says is okay. Your God says differently. So there you go. Anjou. The kingdom of Anjou. Isn't that like a sauce? The Greek sauce? How do you even say that one burrito? Fucking gyro? Gyro? Gyro?